Are you looking for an experience that will grow your teenagers' faith, increase their leadership skills, and teach them the discernment to engage with the world all around them, all while taking them on the adventure of a lifetime? I mean, who isn't looking for that? If your teenager loves fun, adventure, and wants to grow in their faith and leadership this summer, then send them to Excel's Summer Leadership Camp. Excel's Summer Leadership Camp is a 12-day experience for passionate young leaders looking to discover God's truth, to discern wisely, and live wholeheartedly. Your teenager will embark on a transformative journey in the Blue Ridge Mountains, where they'll build lasting friendships in the context of community, embark on thrilling adventures like camping, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, and they will receive expert training and certifications in categories like CPR and wilderness first aid. Each aspect of the camp is woven together to help them learn to discover truth, to discern wisely, and take godly action in the context of real-life situations. To learn more or begin an application, go to theexcelcamp.org. That's theexcelcamp.org. Hurry, because summer is just around the corner.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Reclamation Podcast, where our goal is to help you reclaim good practices for following Jesus. If we haven't met yet, my name is Tony and I'm your host. And with over a decade in the local church, I am passionate about helping you connect with Jesus in your everyday life. We believe that through intentional conversation and dialogue, you can move closer to faith in Christ through practical application. And that's what today's all about. Actually, it's about spirit-led leadership. So if you are someone who's in the church, who has a family, or who works in or around the church, this conversation is going to be perfect for you. And if it is perfect for you, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a rating and review on iTunes or Spotify. And hey, the highest compliment you can give us, share this episode with a friend. All right, so let's dive into today's topic about spirit-led leadership, about what it means and how it looks. I know when I say leadership, some of you, probably half, there's probably half of the people on this call right now are like, nope, not me. I'm not a leader. I don't do that. The other half is probably like, yep, I'm a leader. I absolutely do that. So I started to begin to think about the different kinds of leaders, right? I thought about people like Rosa Parks or General Patton, and of course, Jesus. What I know about those leaders is that they're all incredibly different. They led in different ways. They show up in different rooms in different ways. And I think it's worth acknowledging that we can be a leader and look different than a leader that we follow, a leader we admire, or a leader we don't admire. We can all look different and still lead. Leadership is a spiritual gift, but being a spirit-led leader, and just wherever you're planted, is part of the Christian identity. Right? You lead someone. And maybe that someone is your kids. Maybe that someone is your coworkers. Maybe that someone is your online community. But somewhere, somehow, you are influencing and leading people. So as that is the backdrop, I think we have to begin to wrestle with the question, what kind of leader are you? What kind of leader are you? And today I want to use the story of Mary and Martha from Luke's gospel to help talk about this idea. So if you have your Bibles, open up to Luke chapter 10, verse 38 through 42. It reads like this. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way home, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Okay, so that's kind of the brief synopsis of Luke's gospel of Mary and Martha and Jesus, right? So when we read this, there are three types of leaders that we see in this text, right? The first leader is, of course, Jesus. What I appreciate about Jesus's approach in this text is that he's a patient leader. He lets the situation unfurl. He doesn't stop Martha without Martha talking to him first. He doesn't say anything to Mary without Mary being in the room during Martha's kind of upset complaint. So when we think about Jesus as a leader, we think of someone who's full of patience, of spirit, and of truth, right? Patience, spirit, and of truth. So that's what we think about when we think about Jesus as a leader. Now, the next leader in this is definitely Mary, right? So Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said, right? Mary gets all the credit for this text. She killed it. She did a great job being completely submitted to Jesus.
This episode is brought to you by Peacock. The new Peacock original documentary, Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy, dives deep into the beloved actor's rise to fame and his tragic death. 5 people, including Perry's personal assistant, 2 medical doctors, and an alleged Hollywood drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, were charged with conspiracy to illegally provide Perry with the ketamine. Explore the details of the case in this heartbreaking special, streaming now only on Peacock.
Sometimes we are all called to be the leader who submits to Jesus, the leader who surrenders to Jesus, the leader who is still at Jesus' feet. I think as I think about my own life, this is one of the areas where I struggle because I like to be active. I like to do 1,000 things on 100 different days. But the truth is sometimes the most fruitful work I can do is the work of being still. And Mary understood that. So she just submits. Now, whether Mary did that on purpose or we don't know Mary's deep intention, but Jesus surely honors Mary for her presence. Sometimes as a leader, the best gift we can give is just our presence, whether that's at the feet of Jesus or at the feet of people we're going to serve. Now, the next leader is the tough one, right? It's Mary. It's Martha. Right? And Martha, she gets all the bad press in here. Right? I've even heard some Christians say, don't be a Martha. Don't be a Martha. But I'm going to say something a little different. Don't be afraid to be Martha. The truth is, Martha did a lot of good work. She did all the preparations. She showed up. She was present. She was preparing. And this is what I love that Martha did. More so than any other time I've thought about this. When Martha was concerned, she went to the Lord. She showed up. She went to the Lord. She didn't bash Mary behind somebody else's back. She went straight to Jesus and said, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Friends, there is nothing wrong with going to the Lord with your concerns. There's nothing wrong with showing up to Jesus and saying, I don't like this. This doesn't seem fair. Guess what, guys? Jesus can handle it. He can take care of this. Martha gets a bad rap, but I don't know about you guys. I'm like Martha all the time. Right? And where I want to be like Martha specifically is I want to show up. I want to show up in front of the Lord with all my concerns. I want to be willing and able to go to the Lord and share things. The other thing that I love about this is we don't see Martha get into a big argument with Jesus about it. She complains, she submits. Now, obviously, we don't know what Martha was feeling, but the reality is it's okay to go to the Lord with a prayer request. It's also okay to not get your way. This is what it means to have the lordship of Jesus. I can remember not too long ago, I was making a transition in my career, leaving the local church, going to a ministry called Spirit and Truth. It's an awakening and equipping ministry. So it's very different than the local church, but still based in Jesus-based disciple making. You can check it out by going to spiritandtruth.life. Anyway, so I was feeling this call to something new, and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I really wanted Jesus to tell me exactly what he wanted me to do. I wanted Jesus to hit me over the head with a padded 2x4. And so I prayed, and I prayed with my wife, and I prayed with my guys who have discipled me over the years. I prayed with all of them. And the answer I got from Jesus was this: no matter which one you choose, it'll be okay. Right? It sounds like a really great answer, except it made me so mad because I wanted Jesus to be more clear. And I tell you that story to remind you, you don't always get the story, you don't always get the answer you want from Jesus. But when you go to Jesus, you'll get the answer you need. You don't always get the answer you want from Jesus. But if you're willing to go to Jesus, you'll get the answer you need. So 3 different types of leaders from various spaces and places, and all of them centered around the relationship with Jesus. Right? Jesus obviously being patient, being engaging. You know, he didn't talk down to Martha. He didn't embarrass Mary or Martha. He handled it with patience and grace and truth. He let the situation unfurl. He didn't force his way in. Mary, who surrendered at the Lord's feet, waited patiently, listened, encountered, embraced. And Martha, who did the hard work, and then when she could no longer take the frustration, she went to the Lord. She went to the Lord for his goodness and his answer. And his answer is not what she wanted. But she dealt with it. She surrendered. See, sometimes I think we have these notions that we have to be these superheroes in order to be leaders. But I think the more I read the scriptures, the more I see that that's just not true. You don't need to be a superhero. You just need to be willing to be in front of Jesus. Well, friends, I'm so excited to share this message with you guys. I hope it was helpful wherever you lead, whether that be your family, your work, your online community, wherever you show up. Take Jesus with you. He wants to be there. If this conversation was helpful for you, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a rating or review on iTunes or Spotify. And the highest compliment you can give us, share this episode with a friend. Maybe a leader you respect, especially if they don't see themselves as a leader. It's a great episode to share someone like that. And remember, guys, if you want to follow Jesus, you must be willing to move.